What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Fatboyz Dynasty Podcast, presented by the Fantasyholics Podcast Network, live on the YouTube channel. I am Bo, as the screen says. That is Brant, as the screen says. Brant, we had a crazy busy weekend, week 11. Moving on this week. No early game this week, but we've got so much injury news to unpack this week that we thought we had to do a show dedicated just to all the craziness that is going on in the injury world. We're going to trade out the bibs this week for some scrubs and try to get through and navigate the crazy amount of injuries that are, running rampant and plaguing our football world.
Yeah, we may look like the midnight nurses there at the ER right now. We're not going to be the pretty ones walking around during the day. But we definitely are going to try to unpack some of these injuries and talk about some of the new ones coming back. And then
we love all nurses. We love the nurses. We want you guys to be there when we have heart attacks from consuming too much food.
Yeah, obviously we'll break down our Thursday game between. It won't even be a pretty game, I don't think, but we'll definitely talk about that. And then we got some, guys returning from the IR, and then a lot of guys heading to the IR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I feel like we got to start unpacking it with some of the bigger news. Probably the biggest one this weekend that came out just before Sunday kickoff was Laporta to the IR with back issues. That's probably a starting tight end in every single league that exists for fantasy. Somebody was starting him that had tight ends going. So, big loss, I think. Big loss to the Lions offense and how they run things. It'll be really interesting to see if Sam Laporta can make it back from the IR. I think they're looking at just the 4 games for him, but it'll be really interesting to see how he comes back from that. Something to definitely keep an eye on as playoffs approach. You may not want to be playing him his first week back.
Yeah, that's going to be extremely rough because that was the middle of the field, and that allowed the outsides to be open for Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's definitely going to be a big hit to that offense. It allows them to stack the box a little bit more towards Gibbs as well. So hopefully the backup tight end can at least step up and at least cover the middle of the field a little bit. That way we can continue to see that offense thrive.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. That's a big hole to fill, and if somebody can't do next man up there, that we may see that Lions offense take that small step back and potentially be maybe a little more one-dimensional than we've seen them be in years past. So you got one you want to talk about there, Brant?
Yeah, I got, one of the big ones was, I don't know how much time he's going to be missing, and that's Josh Jacobs. We saw him go down with a little knee injury. That was the Green Bay running game. He was seeing, 90% of snaps, 80% of snaps. The biggest thing with that is going to be is will Emmanuel Wilson and whoever else is back there be able to step up? But that also is bringing, I believe, Lloyd should be on his way back from the IR. So really, are they going to take a chance? They're going to let these 2 younger guys get to see it. Green Bay definitely took a hit. They have not looked like themselves the last couple of weeks. So that's definitely one of the bigger hits there too in the running back rooms.
Yeah, and you mentioned Marshawn Lloyd. I'll just hit both of them since we're talking about the Packers right now. Marshawn Lloyd, I believe, could start practicing as early as this week and be back this Sunday if things go well. Jalen Reed is also practicing, opening his 21-day window as well, which would be a welcome back sight for that Packers pass-catching game. They did just get Christian Watson back from injury, who's looked honestly pretty good. This weekend, 2 touchdown receptions for the Green Bay Packers in a game where a lot of people thought maybe they'd blow out the Giants, but that just wasn't the case. The Giants' run game kept them in it, and it was kind of all Josh Jacobs on the other side of it until his injury. But it sounds like Jacobs' injury might only be a week. They still haven't ruled him out this week yet. They're giving him every opportunity, I think, to be there because I think that offense does take a big step back without Josh Jacobs. But it'd definitely be interesting to see if that changes things for getting Marshawn Lloyd back a little quicker potentially, and what that potentially looks like. I know, Brant, you and I in one of our co-owned dynasties that we're kind of made a move to go all in for. We've got a couple running backs coming back soon. One we'll talk about again here in a little bit, but Marshawn Lloyd is a guy you and I have rostered, we drafted and been holding, waiting to see what he is.
Yeah, well, you hit on Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed could instantly slide right into that number 2 possibly number one spot with Kraft coming out, and all the drops that we're starting to see from that Green Bay offense. You saw some of the receivers get hit in the chest and just drop the ball. So Reed could instantly come back. I don't think he's going to make it back this week, as I don't think he practiced today. So I think he'll be out one more week. But that's going to be a huge bump in my mind. And like I said, that first week back, he's going to be slow to roll. But after week 2, he could be the guy there again. We saw how explosive he can make that offense. And you'll get a chance to actually possibly, hopefully, see him and Christian Watson on the field for multiple games together, because I feel like we haven't got to see that a lot.
Yeah, just reading right now, they had talked to LaFleur after practice today. Medical hasn't cleared him yet, but it sounds like coaching staff and Reed are both ready for him to get back on the field, and he should be able to go with no limitations, it sounds like, as soon as medical clears him. So that could be tomorrow, or like Brant said, next week. So I guess it's only natural we move to the next spot with the two biggest injuries, probably. Unfortunately, my Atlanta Falcons losing Michael Penix to the season, potentially for some of next year as well, with further damage to the ACL. It's tough when you've got a kid, who had all those ACL injuries in college. Obviously, as a Falcons fan, obviously we've mortgaged a lot of our future for this kid. I'm rooting for him to get back next year, but who knows? Eventually, ACLs don't have much left to give, and we may be getting close to that territory now. So Kirk Cousins under center for the Falcons the rest of the season. He's going to be doing it this week, probably without Drake London, who had a PCL strain. So definitely some interesting injury news to come out from Atlanta. Darnell Mooney should be the target monster moving forward, but it's also worth noting he's been playing through a broken collarbone for most of the season that the Atlanta Falcons organization kind of kept quiet for quite some time until this last weekend that came out. So be interesting to see what the Falcons look like. I'm assuming as a Falcons fan it'll be more hot garbage, but for those of us rostering Drake London, the last I think I saw a stat, 6 out of the last 5 weeks, he's been a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy. So that's a big loss for teams making playoff pushes. You're hoping it's a 1-week deal with him, and you're hoping Kirk Cousins gets the ball to him 2 weeks from now if he does play.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that offense was not very explosive last year when Cousins was under center. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where it goes and how much more do they lean on Bijan. We saw last week that they definitely did. I took higher than his carries, and I'm pretty sure he hit that line in the first half. So they're definitely going to start hopefully leaning back on Bijan, and hopefully that's how you guys get your offense going. As for Drake, it's going to be kind of, let's see what we do. And the plus side is we get to see if Cousins can air it out this first week, even if without Drake. So hopefully it doesn't take of a hit when he does come back.
Yeah, Kirk came in relief of Penix last week with the Falcons having a lead and aired it out to the tune of a lot of overthrows, not being able to move the ball and blowing a lead. So Kirk Cousins is doing Kirk Cousins things, and it wasn't even a primetime game. So super excited to watch him under center in Atlanta again. It was so great last year. That's why we pay the man $180 million, though, because you can do those things. Let me step off my soapbox for a minute. Former Atlanta Falcon, current Titan Calvin Ridley to the IR with a fibula. No real loss to anybody there. I can't imagine anybody was, playing him unless it was super deep leagues. He's currently wide receiver 85 on the season, missing a lot of time. Didn't really do a whole lot when he was there anyway, but felt like it was worth noting. Another big one, those are the last ones I have that are like season altering potentially. I've got some that are week to week. If you have any other like IR ones you want to talk about, Brant.
No, not really. I have a bunch week to week. I don't think Ridley's going to make much of a difference because I'm pretty sure that was his first week back in a while anyways. Mm-hmm. And he played second quarter maybe before he went down.
Yeah, it wasn't much. He didn't do a whole lot either. So I've got the next one. I got that's worth talking about in my mind, Marvin Harrison Jr. With Jacoby Brissett under center. It kind of sucks for Marvin Harrison Jr. owners that you've been rostering him. Because he wasn't playable with Kyler Murray, and now when he should be playable, we have to sit and watch Michael Wilson have 18 targets for 15 receptions with Marvin Harrison out with an appendix. Already ruled out for this week's contest. So we're just kind of on pins and needles, I guess, waiting to see whether he's available for week 13 or not.
Yeah, that's gonna be a rough one. It's gonna be some time for him probably to come back. And Jacoby Brissett, like you said, he just broke the record for most completions in a game, and he did it without him. I know he did have Trey McBride and, like you said, Michael Wilson. that offense, like you said, the last 2 weeks looks so much better with Jacoby Brissett under center. So hopefully, when Harrison does come back, that he returns value on where he was drafted this year.
Yeah, honestly, Brand, I think for a lot of rosters, if you're holding him when he comes back with how good Jacoby Brissett is slinging the ball, you almost have to play Marvin Harrison right now because this is the best you're going to have with him if Kyler Murray's under center again in Arizona. So I'm sure as a Seahawks fan, you're rooting for Kyler to get back, but for fantasy, I'm sure not. So I do have Dalton Kincaid missing this week, already ruled out this Thursday with his hamstring issue still lingering. It'll be interesting to see if Keon Coleman gets himself back on the field, get back in good graces. But it'll be interesting to see what Josh Allen could do without him because he was pretty good last week without those two guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about Keon Coleman here shortly. And yeah, Dalton Kincaid missing time. I mean, that he looked great, but that's one of his favorite weapons. So it's definitely going to be missing him again. But I don't think it's going to be too devastating this week as they play the Houston Texans.
Probably not. And then the last one I have written down, Dylan Gabriel in the concussion protocol. It's time. It's Shedeur time. It wasn't great last week. This guy has not taken a single rep all season with the first team offense. I have no expectations. I'm not saying he's going to be the savior in Cleveland, but I am interested to see what Shedeur can do with a week of practicing with the ones. The offensive lineman, the wide receivers actually getting used to his cadences. I believe they play the Las Vegas Raiders this week, if I'm not mistaken. So it could be a game where we see this offense do some stuff. Maybe Judkins is worth a start again. I will be tuning into that contest, or at least paying attention to it, seeing what Shedeur does. I like Shedeur coming out. I know you didn't, Brant. I feel like the kid's not been given a fair shake. It seems like the entire world's rooting against him. So, with the Nepo baby chance and everything else, I'm rooting for him to have a good game. I like Dylan Gabriel too, and what I've seen out of Gabriel, but I'd like to see Shedeur come out and have a decent little game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I am interested to see how it does go. No, I was not a big fan of him. I'm still not a big fan of him. Maybe Daddy will be on the sideline to help him out a little bit. So I hope that this game is better than the one we saw on Monday with the Raiders. I hope they figure it out and use, their number one pick and actually use him. But yeah, as for Sanders, I don't expect a whole lot out of that.
All right, fair enough. All right, you got anybody else on the injury front, Brant?
I have one. The guy that's been stealing carries from Travis Etienne, Bashawn Tootin, may be missing a few weeks here. So hopefully that's a boost to the Etienne, and hopefully he can actually be startable, as I sat him on my bench and regretted every second of it as he ran 2 or 3 touchdowns in this past week. And then the other one I have is one that you and me have to keep an eye on, is Jaylen Warren. They're out with an ankle injury. I think he has not been ruled out.
He made comments about last week's game. He would have came back in if he was needed. So I'm thinking he's going to end up playing. But yeah, it is definitely something worth monitoring. If he misses, I'd be really interested to see what Gainwell looks like in your league availability, but also Caleb Johnson.
I've been starting Gainwell in one of our leagues. That's how desperate I am for running backs.
It's been good.
Yes, it has. Let's talk about one more big name. Aaron Rodgers hurt his wrist. Mason Rudolph starting. Might be about the same.
Rudolph, the red-nosed quarterback.
Yeah. I'm not sure who's going to get the targets. You got the 3 tight ends that looked pretty good this week. And then you have DK Metcalf and who's the other guy? Why am I drawing a blank here?
Calvin
Austin. I'm not sure who's going to get the targets. I'm not sure how much I do trust that offense without Rodgers. I do think he misses this week.
So just going back to Warren for a minute, reading from 2 hours ago, it was more like he was held out today and didn't practice due to cautionary. The team's pretty optimistic he'll play, and he avoided this week, and he avoided serious injury to the ankle. So we should have Jaylen Warren this week unless there's a setback at practice. It kind of sounds like to me. So yeah, it'll be interesting with Mason Rudolph under center. Is that offense worse or better? I don't know. It's interesting because Rodgers has shown his age a few times this year, so it'll be interesting to see what Mason Rudolph can do. We've seen him come in and be a competent backup at times, and also not. So again, that'll be interesting as well.
Yep, absolutely. That's all I have for those.
Okay. I've got a couple big returning from injuries to talk about. We already hit the Green Bay Packers, so I won't stick around there. Omari and Hampton. Chargers are on a bye week this week. There's a chance that Omarian's back and ready to play week 13. I believe that's a game that he could be coming back and playing against the Vegas Raiders. So if that happens, you're full sending Omari and Hampton when he comes back to your lineup week 13 against the Raiders with pretty high expectations, but that's one to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been struggling with the run game. Vidal's had a couple good games, but yeah, no, definitely I would be full send with Hampton.
I've got Trey Benson could return from the IR this week. Again, Arizona Cardinals kind of need that shot in the arm. Jacoby Brissett's making the offense look better. Should open some run lanes for these running backs. I believe Mario DeMarcado is going to miss this week, so Benson could slide right back into that role. And it kind of seems like things are trending towards him playing this week. Justin Gannon wants him out there if he's available.
Yeah, he definitely would slide right back in that because DeMarcado has been ruled out. Michael Carter, I believe, is out for the season as well. So you're leaving on Mr. Knight, Mr. Bam Knight, who was decent at times, but never quite the greatest. I think he actually ended up having a pretty decent game this past week. I'm checking that out real fast. Okay. Maybe if I could stop fat fingering my phone here. But yeah, that's they definitely need the shot back for them moving forward. Knight had 16 points this past week against the Niners.
Also, Michael Carter played for the Cardinals this weekend against the Niners. 43% of snaps, 7 targets, 5 receptions. He's going to the passing game, running back moving forward, it sounds like, for the Cardinals rest of season. So he is healthy.
Oh, okay, he is healthy. Just hasn't been doing anything. What was I just read that? Knight's actually tending an ankle injury, so he may be hurt too. I just saw that as I was looking up his score.
Perfect. There you go. The other two that I thought were big enough to bring up on the show, Brant, I've got Joe Burrow potentially targeting a week 13 comeback Thanksgiving night. That would be the Thursday night contest on Thanksgiving. Shefty kind of made it sound on Monday like that was pretty optimistic on the Bengals to be thinking that far or to be thinking that quick for him. But I'm sure if Joey B has a chance to be out there, he's going to be out there playing. Even, as long as this team's got a breath to make the playoffs, he'll be out under center. So Joey B coming back potentially for a Thanksgiving night contest.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a nice boost as they also will get Jamar Chase back, who will be missing this week as well. So it'll be definitely a nice boost for their team.
And last one I got right now, Garrett Wilson's targeting week 15 to return from the IR. Aaron Glenn has made it sound like the whole time they didn't really want to put him there. Justin Fields, thank God, is no longer under center, so we might actually get to watch some passing in New York. I'm excited for my Mason Taylor shares with Tyrod this week, especially more so with Garrett Wilson being out. But I think as long as Tyrod stays the quarterback when Garrett Wilson comes back, that could be very exciting to see what Garrett Wilson can do with a quarterback that's going to throw the ball.
Yeah, I still don't know how much I trust the Jets, but yeah, it's definitely nice to get him back, especially wherever you guys did draft him in the first or second round. So it's definitely going to be a big boost to your fantasy lineups.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brant, you got anything else for injury news, or are you ready to jump into this Thursday night stuff?
Let's jump into this Thursday night. That's about all I got.
All right, let's do it. All right, Brent, Bills, Texans, walk me through what you've put together using Underdog.
Using Underdog, I got James Cook to go higher than 73.5 rushing yards. I almost said receiving. I think James Cook's go higher than 73.5 rushing yards. I'm ready to read the next one. But I do think it's a James Cook game. I got Keon Coleman to go lower than 22 and a half receiving yards. I don't think he gets used. I don't think he even gets 2 catches. I think they proved that they didn't need him. And a lot of people talking about how he needs to grow up. And I don't think they're going to use him as much.
Okay.
I do got Mr. Prater. We're going to go with the kicker this week. I got him to go higher than 2.5 extra points. I think the Bills find the end zone more than twice.
Okay. All right. I've got James Cook higher than his receiving yards, and that is currently at 14.5. Again, I think this is a game where you probably don't see Dalton, or you definitely don't see Dalton Kincaid. Probably don't see much of Coleman. I agree with Brand on that one. So it's going to be spread out to a lot of other guys. One catch for James Cook could easily go over that 14.5. That's the only bet I took on the Bills this week, Brant. I've got some stuff on the Texans side here since you passively aggressively declined to have those guys in your parlay. I've got Jaden Higgins higher than 27.5 receiving yards. This guy was a huge target for Davis Mills last week, granted against a Tennessee Titans team, but he definitely had kind of a coming out party. This was a wide receiver in this rookie class that I was really excited about this week. And of course, after I trade him in one of my leagues this week, that's when he finally has his best week of the season. But I expect him to duplicate that and be heavily involved in the passing game. Speaking of the passing game, I think the Texans are going to trail from early in this game all the way till the end of it. I've got Davis Mills higher than 32.5 pass attempts. I think he's going to have to sling the ball a lot. That run game is not very good in Houston between Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, and I think he's going to have to throw the ball a lot to try to keep this Texans team in it. And then I'm throwing this out there, Brant, because I've had some success the last couple of weeks. I've hit 2 Thursday nights in a row, and then I hit a Monday night. I've got Nico Collins as the first touchdown scorer this week. Just got a funny feeling that Houston's going to put a drive together to start the game.
Okay. Absolutely don't hate it. As long as they get the ball first, I think you could possibly hit on that.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. They'd have to get it first. Yes. And that's what I'm banking on, baby.
So I think that wraps it up here. And don't forget to join us live on Sunday morning. We don't have a game this week. Only 4 teams on bye. So I do think that does wrap it up. Any other questions, feel free to reach out to the Fatboyz Dynasty Podcast Facebook or the Fantasyholics Facebook page. They're always on board and always on there. And as always, stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.